Hello world, this is Wolfstar Games, it's Anton, and welcome back to more Robotics Notes Elite. First off, I want to apologize for the lack of videos. I have been very busy this past week, so I apologize for that. Anyway, last time we, with the Frau, went and activated most of the triggers for the third Kimijima Report. We still have a little bit more left to do, but we got most of it. And last we actually left off, we were summoned by the Frau, and we were still in the middle of that scene. And before we actually do get back into this, last time when Frau was trying to stack the rocks, she said that she was the modern Sisyphus. And with not knowing who or what that is, I decided to look it up, and I found that Sisyphus, I have it written down here. Sisyphus in Greek mythology was the founder and king of Ephyra, now known as Corinth. He was punished for cheating death twice by being forced to roll an immense boulder up a hill for only it to roll down every time it neared the top, repeating this action for eternity. So that's why Frau said what she said, seeing that she was having so much difficulty keeping the rocks stacked. That makes a lot more sense now. And I find Greek mythology interesting, so Sisyphus was not one that I had heard of before. So that was a new one for me to learn. So it's like I can thank this game for that. And when I was looking Sisyphus up, I also came across this option in the search bar that there was a TV show called Sisyphus the Myth, and it's a brand new TV show that started earlier this year, and it's a South Korean show that is on Netflix. And of course I didn't know about this because I don't do Netflix like at all. It's like I much prefer the physical media over digital. I was rather curious, so I learned the synopsis of it, and it tells the story of a genius engineer who tries to uncover the truth behind his older brother's death. And it's also about a mysterious woman who travels back in time to help him save the world from imminent danger. So, rather interesting premise. And, I'm very interested in time travel stories. I love time travel stories, so that piqued my interest. And, seeing that it's a Korean show, I'm like, I wonder if there's, like, English subtitles for English-speaking people to watch it. So I imagine there is. So, but with me not really doing Netflix, I would have to wait for it to come onto a Blu-ray or DVD. I would be very interested in checking that show out eventually, if it does get a physical release. But anyway, I thought I'd share that. So with that, let's actually get into the game here. Juna insists on changing clothes as tears form in her eyes. She's too embarrassed to perform in a skirt. Yeah, for the mocap that the Frau brought to our attention, and which is why she summoned us. Ironic, since I saw her practicing in the gym in her uniform before. Frau had her bring her gi with her. Oh. So, Frau had Juna come prepared. Okay. Oh. It's like, she is so nervous. It's okay, Juna. It's like she's so timid and she has such an inferiority complex that to perform, even just for, mocap purposes, it's like I guess that's why she prefers to perform alone. I mean, we saw her performing alone very early on in the game, in the gym. And she was just fine. But when other people are watching her, I guess she feels like she's, that people are judging her. And she doesn't like that feeling. So it's really, when you get down to it, it shows that she does very much have an inferiority complex. I can't say inferiority. There we go. She has such an inferiority complex that it's very difficult for her, because of it, to perform in front of other people. Juna, sweetie. It's like she always tugs at my heartstrings. Anyway, it takes her less than 5 minutes to change. I look at Juna's phone droid wired to the cameras and see her on the screen. That said, the image output is totally different from when you capture someone on screen normally. Yes, there are 3 images, and each one has a silhouette of Juna colored red, blue, and green. There's a screen swap button that swaps the feed between cam 1 to 4 at will. All cams record at once.
じゃあ、とりあえず型でもやってみてよ。
スーパーはんぺんだっけ
Super Hanpen? Hanpen. That's a new move, isn't it? We haven't mentioned that one before.
スーパーリンペイ
Oh, Akiho was confused there for a second. That's what it is. It's like, no, it's Super Renpei, Akiho, not Super Hanpen. It's like, what would that move even be?
カメラは意識せずに動いてみて。
Yeah, just pretend that the cameras aren't there. Pretend we're not there. Just let your mind go blank, Juna, and just move. Juna looks embarrassed, but nonetheless bows before beginning her kata. I press the record button and film her from start to finish. I've seen her perform a few times now, and every time I can't help but think how weak she looks. that all you got, Juna? I'm sure you could do more. About a minute into her performance, she stops moving. Her expression hardens and she has tears in her eyes. Why are you crying, Juna? Her gaze is focused on the camera right in front of her.
Jun, どうしたの?
Yeah, well, what is wrong?
カメラ意識しちゃったら
Yeah, and it's like she feels like she's being watched. And not just by us, but by the cameras. Even though that no one is like really looking through the cameras, it's like they would have to be hacked into to do that.
頭の中真っ白になっちゃって。え?
Yikes. Her poor mental strength is out in full force. What could we do to get her to not be so self-conscious about performing? I don't know what we could possibly do. I mean, sure, there are cameras, but it's not like they're broadcasting to TVs or the internet. Yeah, I mean, they're just to capture her movement.
ごめん。
Oh, it's okay, Juna. Juna drops her shoulders and stops the performance.
まあ、これから慣れていけばいいよ。
And we actually get to see her, character sprite wearing a gi. It's like we don't get a lot of costume changes, so it's always kind of it kind of surprises me when we do get a costume change with the character models.
ねえ、フラウボ、今やったところだけでもこの場で見ることってできるの? できる。
Frau swipes the screen and a video player console appears at the bottom with play, rewind, and fast forward buttons. She presses rewind, allowing us to view what we just recorded. We try replaying it.
赤と青と緑の順だ。よかった。顔とか映ってない方がありがたいから。
I mean, that's not what it is being captured, Juna. It's just capturing your movement. It's not capturing you. It's like, and she doesn't understand that. Akiho and Juna are also watching the video. The footage appears to have accurately captured Juna's movement. Since it records from all sides, it can actually recognize three-dimensional movement. And that's the whole point of mocap.
これ使ってモーションいくつか作って。そしたらシステムに組み込むんで。
Yep, and this should be a very interesting direction to have control over a robot. It's like, and I hope I pray and hope that it's implemented well enough that everything will be fluid and seamless, and there won't be any problems as a result. I can only hope.
じゃあ
That's it, Frau? You're just gonna leave it at that and just go home? It's like, you gotta give us more than this. Come on. Frau attempts to bail yet again, but I stop her.
帰りたい。
Tired? Frau weakly clings to Juna's shoulders like she has an anemia or something.
コウジラさん、大丈夫？
I mean, she was just fine up till now. I mean, all of a sudden, she just gets super tired. I feel like she's putting on an act here.
私が元気になるための方法はただ一つ。
Do I want to know, especially given her, kinks?
メガネとヤシオ先輩の薄い本を読むことだ。キリ。
Okay. Sounds like she wants to write that thin book. Have like a fan fiction about Kaito and Subaru. Oh god. I can totally see her doing that too. Not a single one of us know what she means by thin book, so all we can do is pretend we aren't listening.
モーションをいくつか作るって言ってもさ、ロボ2号機はまだ設計図すらできてないんだけど。
Yeah, it's like we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit with already messing with the mocap. It's like we need the blueprints for Model 2, and then building the robot, and then from there implementing the mocap. So yeah, we're quite a bit ahead.
どう進めていけばいいわけ？
設計図できてからモーション取ればいいんじゃね？
What's the point of doing mocap after the blueprints are done? I mean, we need the mocap implemented into a robot. Just the mocap program itself doesn't do anything for us. It's like we need to put it into a robot to actually see the full effect. So, what's the point of doing mocap now? And even after the blueprints are done? It doesn't make sense to do it right now. Remind me what the point of urgently gathering everyone here today was? I knew I should have stayed in bed.
腹減ったな。
That noise was supposed to be Kaito's stomach grumbling. That's not what it sounded like. I guess I'll go grab a bite at a lunch joint or something. Alright, well, I guess I could have gone on a little longer last time. But it is what it is. By the time I eat lunch and return to the hangar, Frau has vanished. I guess she really went home. It's noon right now. I need to head to Chikota Cavern soon, but I'm probably not going to be able to take Frau with me this time. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get her to come outside again. At least not right now. It's like she's had enough for one day, it seems. To be perfectly honest, she hasn't been much help these last 2 days, so it doesn't take much of a difference. I mean, she's been helpful. I mean, she tried her best trying to get those rocks stacked.
Kai!
Hi, Akio. Akio comes running over.
うちちょっと蒲田モータース行ってくるね。
Why are you going there? Oh, right, to get a new motor, a new engine for, gun build 1. I was about to say gun build 2, but no. It's like we haven't even started construction on gun build 2. Kamada Motors is a local workshop in Nagatane-cho. It's in the neighborhood, so the robot club goes to them for help once in a while. Not nearly as much as the robot clinic, though.
何しに?
An engine, right?
ガンツク1のモーターのことで相談してくる。
Yeah.
へえ。
Akio's still attached to Model 1. And Kaito doesn't get that? It's like, come on, Kaito! I'm not that surprised. Okay. Thank you. She did say she was going to keep working at it. Since she's banned from the robot clinic, she's trying to get help from the other workshops, I suppose. It's like she has no other recourse but to do that.
カイはジュンのサポートしてあげて。あの子、真面目すぎるところあるから。あれからずっと一人でテスト続けてる。
That would mean it's been about an hour. That's quite a while.
ごめんね。本当はうちが見ててあげたいんだけど。
It's like you have business to take care of. Well, it's not like I have the time to spare either. Juno wears a serious expression on her face as she thrusts her fist forward, surrounded by mocap cameras. Yeah, when she's not being watched and not focused on the camera so much, she does just fine. She's not actually performing a kata so much as she's doing basic karate training. I mean, that works too. The blazing sun is out in full force, so her forehead is covered in beads of sweat. The phrase single-minded comes to mind. She was so focused on the cameras before that she couldn't even move. She's clearly over that now. Actually, I didn't know Juno was even capable of looking like that. What do you mean, Kaito? She looks way cooler, even gallant, than when she was actually performing earlier. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, because we're not focused on her and she's not focused on the cameras, so if she could be like this consistently, she'd have no problem at tournaments. But since she's already retired, I guess none of that matters anymore. Okay, the fact that she's doing karate right now, and as well as wearing her gi, shows that she's not actually retired from karate. I mean, she can still do it. It just means that in the end, her mental strength wasn't enough. I doubt she was able to ever show her true skills in front of all those people. But that kind of mental weakness is a lethal flaw for an athlete. Every time you participate in a match, there will always be your opponent or a judge. Always someone watching. I just had an idea. So since she has problems performing for people with doing the mocap for Gun Build 2, if it's like in real time, operating Gun Build 2 in real time, with, her movements. Like she goes to punch, and Gunbuild 2 punches. If she does that with no one watching, that would be flawless. But since she has her performance anxiety, how do we do that? If we can get it to where it is, in real time, maybe we could just put her nearby, just under a enclosed tent or something, and she could just be in there, doing her movements, and no one's watching her. It's a thought. In some ways, it might be better to leave Juna alone while she does mocap. Yes, that way nobody can get in her way. It seems like I'm on the right track. To test this theory out, I intentionally make noise as I approach her. He didn't make a noise though. Juna freezes in place the moment she spots me. She looks at me and forces out a smile.
どうぞ続けて。
It's like, don't mind me, Juna. It's like, just pretend I'm not here. Am I urging she goes back to her practice? But it's obvious from her movements that things have changed since I got here. She's weak-kneed and there's no I almost said swap. There's no swap. Swap. There's no swap to her punches. Yes, that makes perfect sense. There's no snap to her punches. Most of all, that coolness she had earlier is long gone. In its place, she looks like she's about to cry. Juna, please, no. Her gaze is unfocused and she keeps glancing at me. She really can't deal with the pressure.
カメラには慣れた。
それはぼちぼち。
Well, that's good.
俺に気づく前の純ちゃんはすごくいい感じだったよ。
そうかな。
You were.
自覚ないの？
あるかも。
Oh, so I guess when she's doing her karate on her own, she doesn't even realize how good she actually is. Maybe that's the way to get her confident. To build up her confidence, praise her on her karate.
今、ヤシオくんが来てからは恥ずかしさとか緊張とかであんまり見てほしくないなって思っちゃって。
No, and I get that, Juna. I totally get that.
ヤシオくんだからダメっていうわけじゃなくて、他の誰でもダメだと思う。
No, I know.
でも一人の時は集中できるでしょ。
Clearly.
うん。
だったらモーションについては純ちゃんに丸投げでいいかもね。
そんな困るよ。
And she doesn't know technology very well, does she? So for her to handle all the mocap as well as performing for the mocap, yeah, that would be a lot for her.
私一人じゃ何も。
Yes, you can. It's like you can do karate by yourself and you do just fine. And you do well at it. So yes, you can.
でもこのままだと純ちゃんさ、ロボ部の中じゃ言われたことをやるだけの人になっちゃうよ。
I mean, he's kind of not wrong.
単に空手をやめて次の夢を見つけるまでの腰掛けなら別にいいけど、何もわからない分野だからって言われたことをやってるだけじゃ面白くないんじゃない？俺が偉そうに言えたことじゃないけどね。でもアキちゃんが抱いてる夢を叶えるためにはさ、スバルくんやコナちゃんだけじゃなくて君も大切なパズルの1ピースだと思ったりするんだよね。
Yes. He's speaking truth here.
特にモーションを取るってのは肉体の動きをちゃんと理解してる人じゃないと。
And you're the key, Juna.
だから頑張ってよ、純ちゃん。
Yeah. It's like, get her... I feel like Kaito is getting her pumped up. Trying to, anyway. Trying to bolster her confidence.
ヤシオくん。
Yes. Juna gets teary-eyed. Oh, like she's been deeply moved. Aww. This is this video so far is having me awe a lot.
そんな風に言ってくれるとすごく嬉しい。
That's great. It's like maybe slowly but surely bolstering her confidence.
あんまり足引っ張らないようにもう少し頑張ってみるね。
そうそう、その調子。
Yeah, that a girl.
というわけで俺今日は用事あるんで帰るわ。
You know, I might have been a little too harsh on Kaito, earlier on, but he's really showing to be, extremely level-headed and, very, like wise beyond his years. I mean, he's kind of talking like a parent right now. So, I don't know, I guess Kaito's proving me wrong of how I felt about him earlier on in the game. Which I'm glad is happening. It's like if Kaito had just been kind of like a one-note character with the way he was at the beginning of the game, I would not have liked him as much. But he is coming around. I'm I should say that I'm coming around on who he is as a character.
あとよろしく。しばらくしたらアキちゃん帰ってくるだろうけど、それまで純ちゃん一人だから。
一人
You okay with that? Juna is dumbfounded. I leave her on her own and jog over to the terminal. Wow. Just like that. It's like, he just kind of runs off. Now then. It's time for 3 hours of pain and suffering. I mean, did you at least bring something to pass the time so it's not so insufferable? I'm reluctant to do it, but if I quit now, the last 2 days will have been for nothing. True. Just as I sit down on my scooter, someone comes riding over on a bike. On just a regular bike?
あ、よしおくん
I was thinking who it could possibly be. I wasn't expecting it to be Nai, though. Tanoji-san is wearing her JAXA uniform, as usual. She must have cycled over from TNSC while wearing it again.
こんにちは。
She returns my greeting with a big smile.
こんにちはどう ?2 号機の方は進展あった
A little bit, actually.
それはスバルくんに聞いてよ。今のところ俺たちは彼の設計図待ちなんで。
Yeah, Subaru's working on the blueprints, but we also are a few steps ahead with the mocap.
ちなみにそのシャツさ、汗で濡れてスケスケだよ。
Kaito. It's like, are you sure you really want to bring this up to a girl?
やだジロジロ見てエッチだな
Tanoji-san Riley smiles. Okay. As she covers her chest with her arms. Oh. A little shy about that, Nai. That rhymed.
動揺しないんだ。
No, she's embarrassed.
まあ減るものじゃないしね
I mean, that's nice for you. It's like she just takes things as they are. Are all women from Tokyo like this? Not all women. Frau's also a perv. Yes. But Frau is... Frau. It's like she... I mean... Frau's way more of a perv than Kaito. No, these two have gotta be exceptions to the rule.
ただやっぱりもうちょっとラフな格好で走りたいとは思うよさすがにこの島南国だけあって暑いから予想以上に汗かいちゃった
Yeah, I don't really know, but how hot does it get in Japan?
そりゃご苦労さんなことで。話をしに来たなら悪いけど今ここには純ちゃんしかいないからあんまり邪魔しないであげてよ。
よしおくんはどこか行っちゃうの
Actually, I am.
まあね。
デート
A date? More like a... It's more like a date of kind of destiny in a way, but not the kind of date that you're thinking of, Nai.
そんなところ
Okay. I'm going deep into a cave to have a secret tryst with a ghost girl, only visible through IRUO. It's like that dry humor. I appreciate that.
じゃあごゆっくり
I wave to Tanoji-san and head off on my scooter. Well, that was a little scene. The waves are starting to approach my feet. The last 3 days have been exactly the same. Oh wait, we cut ahead? To the third day? As it gets closer to the evening, the water starts creeping inward. By the end, it's up to my ankles. I'm not going to get washed away or anything, but the inside of the cave is chilly, making the seawater feel colder. Plus, since I can't move from where I am, an unexpected amount of my body heat gets sapped away. I look at the clock on my phone droid. I've got about a minute before I hit 4 o'clock. I've been looking at the clock over and over for the last 30 minutes. I mean, I would be doing the same thing. It's annoying how, once I'm conscious of the time, it feels like the clock stops moving. I totally get you, Kaito. I'm extremely time conscious. But if I don't check it, I can't help but get insanely curious about what time it is. I want to get out of here as soon as humanly possible. I want to be done with this for good. It's definitely a time-consuming trigger. I mean, to just sit there for 3 hours, just kind of staring at a geotag, that does take a long time, and it would feel that it just kind of goes at a crawl, especially if you keep checking the time. The more time passes, the stronger that feeling gets. Am I really going to hang in there for 3 hours? Maybe this was supposed to be a test of willpower. It could be. I've spent a total of 9 hours across 3 days in this cave, yet the only people I've seen were a young couple. Other people have come down here. Okay. The pair, likely in their 20s or so, saw that someone else was here and awkwardly fled. It seems like they are the ones who were on a date. It's the middle of the summer, and yet no tourists have visited the island's biggest tourism spot. I'm conflicted. It's just a reminder of how far our island has fallen. I get it. With no rocket launches as of late, why would anyone come here over Yakushima, the world's heritage site? Meh. It's not like me feeling bad is going to fix anything. Meh. Thank you for telling me, Airi. I hear Airi's voice coming from my phone droid. She's right. The time on my clock reads 4 o'clock.
裏具は達成された
Alright. That's all the triggers done then. Well, thank you, Heidi. Or I should say, arigato. Hey, I got praised. A bitter smile on my face, I finally exit the cave. I kick off my sandals and walk barefoot on the warm sand. It feels great. I want to just lie down and roll around for a bit, but the sand would get everywhere, so that's a hard pass.
さてと
Of course, practically a second later, he takes his phone droid out himself. I take a breath and whip my phone droid out.
アイリちゃんタップさせて
Just strolls on screen. On the screen. Heidi appears on screen on her own. I tap her on the face and she immediately turns into Geji-ne. What?
アクセスを確認しました。ゲジネモードに移行します。
レポート3のフラグは全部達成されたはずだけどどう
はい、すべてのフラグは達成されています。
Alright, so where does the report show up? Does it show up in the cave? Or does it show up elsewhere?
これにより、君島レポート3の AR アノテーションは可視化されたと考えて良いでしょう。
そりゃどうもでどの辺にあると思う
不明です。
Doesn't know. Okay. I mean, I would check in the cave first, just to make sure that geotag doesn't also, have the Kimijima report, just to make doubly sure before he starts searching elsewhere. Despite making it visible, Geji-ne has no way of locating where it is, eh?
フラグの場所はこの辺に集中してたからレポートそのものもこの辺にあるとは思うけど
That would make sense.
とりあえずめぼしい場所を回ってみるか
The Kimijima Report's AR annotation is the classic power mark. Oh, that's right. I kind of forgot about that fact. So it's not gonna be that geotag in the cavern. So... I'm trying to think where around here would the power mark be. I'm guessing on the gate. Somewhere on the gate. I gotta find it. I guess I'll use Deluode map to pick out potential spots. And that could help, I guess. Okay, I actually have control over this. Oh. Interesting. Okay, there's different spots that I can choose. So, Robot Clinic, Hasei Park, Hamada Beach, which is where we're at. I can't... Okay, there we go. Trying to get to the hospital one. Central Tanegashima Hospital. Okay, so what happens if I choose the wrong spot? I don't know, maybe I should save first. Can I save? No, I can't. I'm pressing the start button and well, the options button, and I can't bring up the menu. Okay, well, let's start with where we're at first, I guess. This is Hamada Swimming Beach. Chikota Cavern is nearby. Could the Kimijima Report be here? Could the Kimijima Report be here? Use the phone droid trigger to activate IRUO and search for the Kimijima Report. Use the Deluode map to change locations. Okay. So if I don't find it here, I can go back to the map and choose another location. Alright. Could the Kimijima Report be here? Okay, so now I can say. But that's not what I want. I want IRUO. Okay. Well, I mean, I know it may be a little fruitless, seeing that we're just on the beach and, you know, the gate isn't actually visible from this perspective. So I guess it's not the gate then. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's here then. Okay, so let's go back to the map and let's see. I'd be surprised if it's at the robot clinic. I don't want to. I don't think it would be at the robot clinic, to be honest. Let's. The park, maybe? Hase Park? Let's try there. We're speeding over there on our scooter. This is Hase Park. Could the Kimijima Report be here? Let's find out. I mean, you know, maybe under that, you know, little, you know, pagoda. Maybe. I mean, you think it would be, like, really close by to where we activated the triggers, but I guess not. So, yeah. Doesn't look like it's here either. Okay. So, the General Tanegashima Hospital? Let's try there. This is Tanegashima Hospital. Could the Kimijima Report be here? Let's find out. Tanegashima Hospital. I'll read the geotag here. Open 8:30 to 12, and then 14 to 1700 hours. Closed Saturday and Sunday and holidays. Of course, because it's a hospital. And of course the phone number. I mean, even if it's not here, I'm glad I came here for the geotag for the hospital. I'm not seeing a power button. Is it really at the robot clinic? I mean, the robot clinic is the farthest away. Why would it be so far away from the triggers? This is the robot clinic. It should be like a bright light, just like the one inside the what was that building? You know, at Uchigaoka Park. It should be a bright light like that one, right? But I'm not finding a bright light. I mean, I only have the 3 spots. And I've checked each spot, so it's like, oh wait. Huh. Okay, there's more up here. Well. Okay, Frau's place, the airport, or Central Tanegashima High. That's even farther away. Why would they be so far? Why would it be so far away? I guess it'd be interesting. It would be if it would be at Frau's place. Let's try there real quick. I kind of doubt it'll be there, but doesn't hurt to check. This is the abandoned hotel where Frau lives. Well, not at Frau's place. Oh, and there's also Mizuka's convenience store, the a.k.a. general store. Kind of doubt it would be there too. I mean, since we're like right nearby, check the airport. Like just driving all over the place, trying to find this report. Oh, hey! I missed this one from earlier. Huh. From Airport Administration Office. This airport is no longer in use. No trespassing allowed. I'm surprised I missed this one. Well, I got it now. Let's try the school. It's like, I don't know why it would be at the school, though. It's like, was it just kind of put in a random spot? Kind of feels that way with all the places we're like going to. I mean, where could it possibly be? I appreciate the fact that, whoa, lens flare, whoa. It's like, now we're getting all like, now we're getting all, it's like, lens flare, lens flare, lens flare, lens flare. I'm having too much fun. It's like, now this is just turning into a, J.J. Abrams movie. Mizuka's store? It's like, now I just feel like I'm grasping at straws. It's like there almost seems to be like no rhyme or reason of where it could possibly be. You'd think that the report would be in a place that would tie back to where the triggers are, but every place I'm going to isn't tied to Hamada Beach. There's not like any clear indication. But then again, I wouldn't want the game to like hold my hand in trying to find it. They're really making me look. Are there more places elsewhere? Let's see here. No. I've been everywhere. Go back to the beach here. Maybe go to each place and then come back to the beach? I don't know. I mean, it seems like a possibility. Now I'm not sure where to look. It's like, it's hidden in the sand! It's like, let me dig up the beach. Boy, I don't know.
アイリが見てますよ。
Heidi? It's like, she said something. I didn't understand what she said. Oh, wait. There's like a different... The reticle is like a different color right here. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. Well, I drove around everywhere, came back here, and found it. So, that's... Wow. So, I feel like, you know, with trying to find it, that there should be, like, the indicator should be a little more obvious. So just kind of randomly noticing that the reticle is a different color at that point, that it would be hidden way up there. So glad I found it, but all the same, I mean, I was right in assuming that it would be at the beach. All the same, I am glad that I went around to each place to look. I wouldn't have gotten the geotag for the hospital, and I wouldn't have gotten that geotag that I had missed at the airport before. So I am glad of that. I knew it'd be here.
レポートナンバー3がダウンロードされましたよ。
And I got a trophy for it. I missed what the trophy name was.
いつでもビューアーで見られます。
What a real pain. Report number 2 wouldn't have been so bad if it weren't for the typhoon's timing. That was the major issue. But the triggers for this report were both time-consuming and a pain. Apparently there are 7 reports in total. I wonder what the other triggers are going to be like. They might break me. I mean, this report had very specific triggers. Very time-consuming ones. So I can only imagine what the triggers for all the other reports are going to be like. They could be just as time-consuming and, as Kaito sees them, a little annoying to activate. But in the end, we'll get them. Eventually. Either way, it's time to take a look at this thing. It's still fresh in my mind that on February 1st, 2010, the President of the United States announced the end of the Constellation Project. His statement contained the following information. The budget saved from ending the Constellation program will increase funding to robot-led space exploration missions. Which is normal for space exploration. Furthermore, it will support manned rocket development by private enterprise, as well as fund development of next-generation engines that will send astronauts beyond low Earth orbit into deep space. That is what was said to the public. However, only few know that it is all preparation for Project Adam. Project Adam? Okay. Project Adam is led by the Tavistock Institute, operating under the Committee of 300. Agreed upon as Plan Number 114 in the Human Ranch Project. That's a very specific number. Is there anything to that number? I wonder. After Project Noah ended in failure in 2009, this project was seen as a similarly promising venture by the Committee of 300. Project Noah, was that brought up before? I don't remember that name. Whoa. Is that supposed to be like the sun? Sun, Earth? Ooh. Specifically, it would... That is quite the... Can I... Whoa. Like, robots. Ooh. Interesting. That's the hug, isn't it? US Robocom. Liverpool Tech. Exoskeleton. Liverpool? As in the UK? Huh. Specifically, it would directly interfere with the sun at its period of maximum activity, artificially create a solar corona, then release it as a solar magnetic storm. I was never really into science when I was a kid, so it's... With the solar magnetic storm, I don't really know how or what the impact of that would be like. I imagine it would be massive, though. The resulting solar disturbance would be the largest in history. Okay. Just as I thought. Expected damage would be the annihilation of roughly half of the human population, with massive changes to the global environment, further increasing the number of dead. Ooh. The goal is to kill off 5 billion people. Jesus! The project was based off of NASA research predicting that the sun would enter a period of maximum activity for 10 years, starting in 2012. And that was quite a while back now. It's in-game, it's 2019. I mean, that's a period of 7 years unaccounted for. Tavistock knew of this in 2006 and began their propaganda operations. NASA's research was purposely leaked to the world, and in 2009, a Hollywood movie that pictured the world's destruction in 2012 was created. I actually brought that up during the Kimijima Report No. 2, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it the first one? I know it was one of the two. Oh my god. I feel like I kind of inadvertently, brought that up as, me just kind of talking about like similarities and whatnot to stuff that I've seen in movies and television, but I will color me surprised for the game to actually bring the movie of 2012 up when I had already previously talked about it. At the same time, the Committee of 300 learned from a report by NASA's Interstellar Boundary Explorer, IBEX, or I guess I could call that IBEX, that the reason for the sun's increased activity was the influence of an interstellar-sized energy ribbon, cosmic string, drawing close to the solar system. Cosmic string. I just kind of wonder, with the string theory, time travel, that has any play here at all, seeing that they brought up the cosmic string. So do we actually have some time travel involved in this story after all? Project Adam was further adjusted, and they moved to execute the plan in 2015. And they actually executed it? What was the results? However, as the execution of Project Adam would cause mass chaos around the world, wealthy people connected to the Committee of 300 would be given refuge in shelters either on the moon or deep underground. Oh. Wealthy people connected to the Committee of 300. Frau is wealthy. Her mother went missing. She must have been connected to the Committee of 300 and was given refuge. That would make sense why she disappeared. Okay. I feel like I'm on the right track there. Reaching the moon would not be done by launching rockets from Earth, but by constructing a space elevator with carbon nanotubes, then flying to the moon from geosynchronous... This is a word. Geosynchronosis. Chronos. Geosynchronos. Geosynchronos? Is there a typo there? I feel like it would be geosynchronosis. Then flying to the moon from geosynchronous orbit. However, due to the low prospect of completion by 2015, the construction of underground shelters is currently the more realistic option. Okay, so I can only assume that there's more than one underground shelter. Like, I imagine there's like a lot of them. And maybe that's where Frau's mom wound up? For several years after 2015, human habitation on the surface would be difficult to impossible due to the environmental changes. The only planned activity on the surface would be by livestock, humans included, and the autonomous robots that will manage them. Okay, that's why robots showed up as an image. Okay. So the robots would replace the humans? I mean, that's what I'm thinking anyway. So it seems like with what this report is talking about is a dystopian future where all humans are in underground shelters, and on the surface, on the Earth's surface, the robots have inhabited the Earth and has taken control of everything. That sounds like a number of different, science fiction stories rolled into one here. Project Mars, running concurrently with Project Adam, will have companies around the world under the Committee of 300's influence develop and build robots by 2012. Okay, so Project Mars, Project Adam, these are all space related. So JAXA is involved, right? So if JAXA is involved, that would be why now JAXA wants to help the Robot Club out in making a new robot, right? So what does that mean for the people involved with JAXA? Like Akio's father and Nai. Are they also part of the Committee of 300? I mean, I don't particularly want to think that, especially with Nai. But I can't help but see that connection. And that makes me a little worried of where Nai's character is gonna go in this story. It's like I don't really want to see her as an antagonist. This explosive technological progress will make autonomous life-size robots mainstream by 2015. Research on giant robots for military use will also begin. Oh, and what are we doing? The Robot Club? We're trying to make giant robots. First with Gunbuild 1 and now with Gunbuild 2. Oh no. That puts light on something that I wasn't considering before. Especially with JAXA's involvement now. JAXA's involvement with making robots regardless for space travel. It's like they want to help the Robot Club with making a giant robot, but in reality they're actually helping to make a giant robot for military use and not for space exploration. Because how would they get a giant robot up to space? I feel like a huge revelation has just come to light here. It's like, God. Project Mars will be explained another time. Yeah, alright. In another report, I guess. For now, know that no-name companies in 2009 that become top global corporations by 2015 will all be connected directly to the Committee of 300. Okay, no-name companies. No-name companies like the Space Candy Company? And Space Candy. Space. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the connections here are just kind of like crazy. Project Mars, Project Adam. Those are dealing with space. Jax is all about space exploration. Space Candy Company would be a no-name company, basically. But Space Candy would become a global corporation. And that happened, right? So I feel like everything is being tied together here. Japan's exoskeleton, America's US Robocom, and the United Kingdom's Liverpool Tech are companies that should be watched diligently. Exoskeleton. Misa-ne. Oh no. And Misa-ne is part of... So that means Misa-ne is part of the Committee of 300? Is that what that means? Oh. And that's why she warned, well, not so much warned, but explicitly said to Kaito to stop searching and looking into the Kimijima reports and everything. That would explain so much. My lord. The amount of information here is dizzying. Yeah, no kidding. But still, there's one name that stands out to me. Exoskeleton? Yeah. I never expected to see that name show up in a conspiracy theory from a decade ago. Is this just coincidence? Oh. Exoskeleton, the hug. They manufacture the hug. Mazuka has a hug. What does that mean for Mazuka? Is that like some kind of step forward in controlling us? Is it unavoidable? Yeah. It's like Misa-ne warned us. I end up reading too much into her words. Now, I think you're reading into it exactly how it should be read into. I desperately want all this to be a coincidence. I mean, Misa-ne only joined XK 2 years ago. I feel like nothing is a coincidence anymore. Not with all these ties to everything that has been brought up so far. She had nothing to do with the company at the time this report was written. I mean, sure, but with what we know with her past a little bit, she could have been heading in this direction. So, oh man. And she's not even part of the top brass. Sawada is, though, isn't he? And she works for him. She's just a test pilot and a PR girl. She's more than that, though.
でも、だったらあの電話は。
君島レポートのことは忘れて。これ以上探してはいけないわ。
And I imagine she has to know what these Kimijima reports say.
一体どういう意味なんだよ。
Not to mention, Misa-ne apparently knew Kimijima-ko.
愛梨ちゃんさ。
はい、お天気情報ですか？
Now's not the time for the weather report. Sorry, Airi.
じゃなくて、ミサ姉とは友達だったって言ってたよね。
はい、ミサ姉じゃなくてミサキですが。
Right, yes. That's Akaito's nickname for her.
君島コーとミサ姉って会って話したりしてた？
I kind of get the feeling that she knew Kimijima-ko when he was still alive. It's like, give me something, Airi. It's like, see if my theory is correct.
知ってましたけど、ミサキはマスターと話すよりアイリと話す時間の方が多かったです。
Okay, so my theory is correct. Oh, that feels good to call that. But they didn't talk a lot. Okay.
何しろ、ミサキはアイリの初めてのお友達ですから。それに、マスターはあまり人と話したがりませんでした。
Like he was a shut-in? Hmm.
ミサ姉と君島コーは何を話してた？
Would she even know?
ミサキはマスターにたまに質問をしていましたよ。マスターに興味を持っていたんじゃないでしょうか。
I'm probably interested in him intellectually.
どんな質問？
アイリの機能について、イルオで何ができるかについて、東京のことについて、結婚しているかどうかについて、種子島での住み心地について。
Okay, then why would she ask? Why would Misa-ne ask Kimijima-ko if he was married or not, or if he liked living on Tanegashima or not? It's like, why would she ask those?
まとめるとそれくらいです。
Okay. I guess that's something. It's all just small talk. pretty much. But I mean, that's normal, right? Misa-ne was only a high schooler at the time, who got in over her head, right? Just like Kaito is doing right now. Kimijima was the amazing guy from Tokyo who made Airi and IRUO. It'd be odd if Misa-ne wasn't interested.
親しい様子だった？
愛理の方が親しかったです。会話を交わした延べ時間は愛理の方が上です。
It almost sounds like Airi is competing with her master or something. I don't think so. Or maybe that's just how important her relationship with Misa-ne was, especially as her first friend.
あの二人が口論してたりしたことは？
口論ですか？ありませんよ。もしそんなことがあったら、愛理は悲しいです。
Is she really remembering things correctly? I mean, she's an AI. I mean, with any information that she has gotten over the years, she would remember things to the T, in detail. So, she would have to remember things correctly. It's like she's not human. Airi's an AI. Unlike humans, her past experiences don't grow hazy over time. Exactly. It's all stored server-side, supposedly. I have no idea how she works.
君のマスターの映像ってさ、どこかに残ってないの？できれば閲覧したいんだけど。
ないです。
ない？一つも？
Airi answers with a smile.
マスターはそういう映像を愛理とゲジネを使って徹底的に消させたんです。だからないです。
Kimijima erased them himself because he was pursued by the Committee of 300. I mean, Kimijima was basically the whistleblower here, and since he was murdered, the Committee of 300 or the Illuminati, whoever, I guess kind of sent out a contract to have him murdered. It would make sense. I mean, this is getting quite serious. Because he didn't want anyone to recognize his face? I think it's more than that.
愛理ちゃんの記憶から映像を引っ張り出すこととかできないわけ？
I mean, I kind of doubt it. But it doesn't hurt to ask.
できないですよ。
Yeah, I had a feeling. Airi shakes her head, looking like she wants to say, "That's outrageous."
そんな機能はありません。
I kind of figured.
そう。
But I'm curious about Misa-ne. I get the feeling if I search for more Kimijima reports, I'll learn something that I'll regret ever knowing.
もしこれ以上関わるなら、カイ、あなたはきっと後悔することになる。
I really am starting to regret it, Misa-ne. There's a side of you unknown to me attached to these reports. Yeah. It's like he may have known her as a kid, but she's basically a different person now, right? Because of her ties to the Committee of 300? I mean, how much has she changed? I just hope I'm overthinking things. Overthinking or not, this is some heavy, serious stuff going on here.
愛梨ちゃん、君島レポートって7つあるんだよね。残り全部のフラグを教えてくれない？
For each report?
じゃあゲジネにしてください。
It's a real pain to have to do this every single time. Ugh, no point pushing back. I tap an ID's face.
アクセスを
Back
確
to
認しました。
Back to Geji-ne.
ゲジネモードに移行します。こんにちは、ヤシオさん。
Konnichiwa.
君島レポートナンバー4についての情報をお伝えします。
Wonder what the triggers for report number 4 are gonna be.
なお、レポートナンバー5以降についてはナンバー4を入手していないためフラグ情報がロックされています。
That makes sense. It's like you need to activate the triggers for a report before you can move on to the next report for activating those triggers.
そうなの？
はい、
I guess I gotta do this in order. Yep. You sure made this whole thing a huge pain, Kimijima-ko-san.
レポートナンバー4の AR アノテーションは詳細な場所について現在不明となっています。 AR アノテーションを可視化するためのフラグをダウンロードします。完了。レポートナンバー4のフラグをお伝えします。1、君島レポートナンバー3を発見している。ゲジネより注釈。フラグ1はすでに達成済み。
Well, yeah. I mean, we had to go through number 1 to get to number 3.
2、種子島の4カ所のおすすめポイントから撮影したロケットの打ち上げ写真をイローにアップロードする。
Interesting. Photographs of rocket launches. The only thing is, there haven't been any rocket launches in, like, forever. So, how is he gonna get this one?
おすすめポイントの4カ所は以下の通りです。長谷展望公園、宇宙が丘公園、七色坂観望台、竹崎展望台。3、ロボクリニックに保管されているゴジロウくんを起動する。
Gojiro-kun? That's Gojiro-kun. Godzilla? That kind of sounds like Godzilla. And at the robot clinic. That's interesting.
4、ジオタグを付与した火縄銃を1発以上試射する。
Huh. A matchlock gun? Interesting.
以上です。
Some very interesting triggers here. What are you thinking there, Kaito?
勘弁してよ。
Give me a break. Give me a break.
さらにめんどくさくなってる上に実行不可能なものまであるじゃないの。
Yeah, especially with the rocket launch one. It's like, how is he gonna get photographs of any rocket launches?
ロケット打ち上げ写真をアップロードってそもそもこの4年くらい打ち上げられてないし。
Exactly. Yeah, for 4 years, it's been so long since a rocket launch.
ゴジロウくんって誰だよ、知らないし。
It's like, I just want to call him Godzilla.
火縄銃なんて撃たせてもらえないし危ないし。
Where would he even get a matchlock gun in the first place? We've hit very hard on the difficulty scale. It's like it's like with each report, the geotags are getting progressively harder to activate. Boy, and there's 7 of them. There's 7 reports, so I can just imagine once we get to the 7th report of how difficult it will be to activate the last one. I'm already feeling bummed out. I was planning on collecting all 7 reports, but now?
とりあえずじっくり方法を考えるしかなさそうだ。
I decided to head home for the day, completely discouraged. Oh. Switch to...
こちらはあなた方が歓迎すべき情報をお伝えする用意があります。
Switch to Misa-ne, an inner car. Well, that was a boatload of information. So, this was a doozy here. So, a lot of stuff happened here. I have a lot of stuff to think about, obviously. So, this wound up being a lot longer than I anticipated it being. So, I guess to make up for the lack of uploads lately, this will be a much longer episode. So, I hope you enjoyed this extra long episode, and thank you all for watching as well. And if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, like, favorite, and claw that subscribe button to become part of the pack. And as always, everyone, I hope you all have a wonderful day or night, wherever you may be.